Okay, so it's on while it's blinking. Okay. Hi there, everybody. This is Chuck Worley again. Post another video about our miserable lives. I wanted to post this video mostly because I do have a GoFundMe out there. And I just wanted to basically make a video so that people that don't know us know that it's a legitimate account with legitimate people that have legitimate needs that are legitimately not being met. And now I'll go into detail. Um, uh, the GoFundMe I originally posted most recently, we posted a goal of 2,000, and that was so that we can try to get proper insurance on our van for more than a month, and we can put a plate on it so that I can get around better, because with me being in a wheelchair, I don't get around as easy as everybody else. The local public transport that would publicly transport people like me in a wheelchair is not reliable like it should be. On top of being very expensive. So without a vehicle, I don't get very far. And it doesn't just trap me at home, it traps my wife and daughter at home quite often. Because if Dad can't get out, it's hard for them to get out. And that affects them deeply, negatively. I Sorry, this is going to be a very hard video, so people bear with me. There's a lot of things with our life that make life more difficult than most people can imagine. I can't get out and do things that everybody else can. And we're just trying to get ourselves in a better living environment where we can live as close to as much of a normal life as possible, which in our position isn't normal by anybody's standards. And of course that takes resources that you don't have when you're forced into a position of destitute. When I say destitute, I myself, when I was younger, was a very hard-working person. I went out and took care of what I had to take care of, and I did everything I could to meet my family's needs to the best of my abilities, of course. I didn't ask for a lot of things, and it pains me to ask anybody for anything now that I can't do anything. When I was fully unable to work, my wife had this bright idea that she'd go support the family. I thought it was a great offer, and she did that right up until my terminal illness put me under 24-hour care by doctor's orders. And there was nobody from any system. We paid for insurance, and the insurance company refused to have somebody come out and sit with me while my wife worked so that I could have that 24-hour care that the doctor required was necessary medically. To even be left home for a few minutes is sometimes very taxing, depending on what might come up while I'm sitting there. Let alone for a whole 8-hour work day. So a woman that was trying very hard to support her broken family was forced to quit working, accept no income for a job that nobody should ever be expected to do alone. But that's the expectation that we're under. So that leaves us living off a little bit of Social Security, which I is not much. If it wasn't for other assistances, we wouldn't survive how we do, and we're not surviving to anybody's standards of survival. And we're just trying to meet those needs. In my situation, having to rent a place to live, I have to continue begging people for things that they deem are not valid request. Like, I need a tub that I can get into, and because I can't stand up, I can't get into the average tub. It's kind of a situation when you're living somewhere and the person that you have to answer to for a landlord says that, you can't make this adjustment even if you did it out of your own pocket, which gets expensive, and of course those needs are hard to meet too. If we had something more that we could feel like was more our own, it would give our life a little bit more meaning, I guess, if I could feel like I could live partially like a human being. And I don't ask for, I'm probably going to be raising the goal, because not only do I need to get better transportation that can legally drive down the road without losing it or risking legal repercussion, we also really need to find a home that is a home, not just a rental till whenever. I need to find a space that's ours, that we can, live comfortably, like somebody expectation. Sometimes I guess I feel like prisoners probably live better than I do, and that's saying something for somebody that's on the outside. That's not, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't want to ask anybody for anything, and I don't expect whatever my goal is to come from any one person. Just asking anybody that wants to put a little bit of money to good cause. Our cause is as good as any. I get messages from GoFundMe that they recommend, somebody start a GoFundMe for somebody else's so that people see the need is necessary, but I even seen that doesn't always work out how people wished it would. I can tell you that the donations that go into my GoFundMe go directly to me and my family, and trying to help us survive. Not insanely expensive survival. We just want to survive like every other average human being in America. I mean, it's not... I don't have a home because I refuse to go work and pay for one. I can't work. My wife is forced out of work. I fell through every resource crack possible. And we're just trying to get in a situation where I have to quit begging people for reasonable accommodations, and feeling like I'm a bad person for it, because we're just trying to survive like everybody else. and our resources are limited, not because we don't go get them, but because we can't go get them. I don't have a lot of friends and family to help. A lot of people think that my wife gets paid for sitting here taking care of me, and she gets a headache. She gets no monetary value. There is no agency that they pay for other people to get help in their home when they're in my situation, but I'm married and I have to get divorced for that, and I just feel like I should be able to live honestly and still survive. And it's really all I'm asking. I don't expect everybody to have the ability to give. I just want that if you don't, please help by passing it on at least. Help us pass this around and get this campaign in front of as many people as we can. The more people that we can get it in front of, the more help we can possibly get. And if at some point I get extra, I'm definitely the guy that will pass on what I don't need. But we're far from that point at the moment. I just want people to know that I am a legitimate person with legitimate disabilities. I don't do anything in my daily life that doesn't need some sort of assistance from somebody, and that pains me more than I can imagine. But I'm not the guy that likes to ask. I'm not the guy that likes people doing things for me. I ran out of options. My abilities got less and less, and they continue to get less and less every day. A few years ago, one of my kids got into wrestling, and you have parents that support their kids' sports or whatever after school activities, and you have parents that don't. I happen to be a parent that looked like one that didn't care about my child's doings because I didn't have the ability to go to his functions and cheer him on. Not because I didn't want to, but because I just happened to be that guy that didn't have that ability. But I can't imagine how it makes the child feel differently because the parent can't be there versus doesn't be there. But we end up in this situation, and we're doing everything we can to dig ourselves out without having to ask. And unfortunately, the summertime is when I get out and about, and where I'm currently living at without a vehicle, I get I can't go as far as I could other places. So when we lost our vehicle, I lost a lot of ambition. I slept the majority of the summer. We're creeping up on fall and winter, and I hibernate those months because it's so cold, so bitter cold, that when I have to go outside, it feels like my bones are breaking inside of my body because it's that cold for me. Anybody that lives in the snow and goes out in the cold that's a healthy person and feels cold, multiply that by like 1,000, and that's how bad it hurts me. So rather than getting ripped to shreds, I stay inside during the winter time. And after you stay inside so long, you really get like cabin fever, and it can be a doozy. I guess what I'm saying is I mean, the less I'm able to get out and about the harder it affects me mentally and emotionally. And I just, I want to live a reasonable life. I want my wife and children to see me smile again more regularly, at least feel like I'm trying to live a normal life. It's hard to explain how difficult things are to most people. Some people think they know what we're going through. Unless you're living in it, it's really hard to wrap your head around. Uh, Living here in the space that me, my wife, and daughter live in, my wife and daughter don't even know fully how badly this affects me. And as much as I know that it hurts them daily, having to survive the way that we do, I don't have the full comprehension because I'm not in their body and I don't fully understand. But we understand a lot more about how each other feel than most people that think they know how our life is, because it's unspeakable. There's no words to legitimately explain how life can get. And when you feel like your wife and child or your family members look at you with disdain instead of, you know, it's when you're all work and 100% dead weight, it's not fun to be around all the time, I guess is the best way to. I don't want to say that, my my wife don't take care of me or anything, because we do the best we can and we survive together, but it's not always a fun situation, and it's definitely different. I've a lot of people quit coming to see me because of my situation, I feel like. And when you take everything and pile it all up, and just when you think you got things rolling and things dump all over your day, it's like having a mountain laying on your chest and not knowing how to get it off there so you can get up and go on with your day. So we are a legitimate family with legitimate needs. And before I continue to rattle, I'll go ahead and wrap this up here pretty quick. But I urge everybody that sees this and sees our campaign, if you can give, please do. If you know people that have a lot of followers, please get it to them. Get it in front of them so they can get it in front of their people. Whatever we got to do to get this thing in front of some people that can help and will help. I know I hear how this GoFundMe thing works all the time. I'd just like to actually see it happen, because I don't know how else we are. The agencies that people think are out there to help people like me are not there to help people like me. They are 100% research based when we check into them. They don't help people that have to live day-to-day lives like I do. So I'm not going to name foundation names because I'm just not going to get into that